Y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Y'all, it is Thanksgiving week. This video should go up on Black Friday if everything works out correctly. So I want to just take a minute, slow down, and talk about some end of year book things. I got a couple of book tags I want to do, and I just want to kind of hang out and talk books. So before we get into all that, y'all go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. Like I said, y'all, it is Thanksgiving week, and I could not be more thankful for all of you. Seriously, everybody that's here, those of you that stop by and watch my videos every week, people who have subscribed to the channel, people who've become members of the channel, people who've thought enough of the content, or I guess gotten enough out of the content to think to do super chats or super whatever they're called on the YouTubes. Y'all, thank you. Just thank you so much. I know there are lots of places you could be. I know that resources are a bit thin at times. And by that I mean like your time, your money, your all of the things. And I really appreciate you spending them here with me. So if you're spending your time here watching videos, if you're liking videos, if you're commenting, asking questions, making suggestions for future content, telling me what books you're reading, all of those things, y'all, I just appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I thank you for being here for real, from the very bottom of my heart. So with all of that being said, let's get into this and let's talk about some books. So I found a couple of book tags. There is a fall romance readers book tag, and there's an end of year book tag, and I've kind of merged them together into kind of my own book tags, but let's be super clear. There's nothing original about what I'm doing. All I'm doing is like taking two creators' works and putting them together. So I'm going to link them some kind of how in the chat. So if you want to go back and look at the original lists from which I've drawn my tags, they'll be in the chat. So let's get into this. And y'all, I have some notes here. So obviously if I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. So the first tag is books you started and need to finish. And I assume that just means for, like, all of these are supposed to just be for this year. And I'm going to try to stick to that. But I don't think that I've actually DNF'd any books. Now, let me say this. And y'all, if you know, you know where I'm going with this. In my head, I DNF'd tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow 100 times. Like, I would get to a point in the book and be like, I'm not reading any more of this pablum. I really disliked, I have two. Now that I think of it, I have two. I really disliked tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and would have DNF'd it. But if you recall, and I didn't even bring the book out because y'all remember last time I talked about it, I had it in my hand and kept whacking myself in the head with it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to spare myself that abuse. Didn't even take the book out. But I did not like that book. I disliked it from about, I don't know, maybe a third of the way in, but I finished it because it was critically acclaimed. Like, everybody loved that book. And I went into it expecting to love it and wanting to love it. So I disliked it. And I think part of my hatred for that, I don't hate it. I just really dislike it. And I was very disappointed by it. And I think part of my, my negative feelings towards that book are that I had such high hopes and they were just dashed by that. So tomorrow, and oh good Lord, Peace Like a River. I hated that book. I don't even know why I finished. I think I finished reading it so that I could say, oh yeah, no, I hate that book. And nobody could be like, well, you didn't finish it, so how can you judge it? Oh, I can 100% judge it. Hate that book. And y'all, what is this? What books did Danielle hate this year? No, I'm gonna this is the only, I'm not gonna talk ugly about any other books, but Red, White, and Royal Blue. I'm getting so excited I can't even speak. That was another one that everybody was so high on that I just didn't like. Like, I really didn't like it. And I really wanted to like it because it was like a rom-com between these two super cute gay boys, which straight up my alleyway, and I just did not like it. So those I DNF'd in my head 15 times, but I actually finished them so that when I talked about them, I could talk about sort of like the entire pack, like the whole book as a package. Not like, oh, well, I got to this point and stopped reading it, so I could only talk to that point. So I think the the spirit of the question is, what books have you like started reading and for whatever reason got distracted and need to go back and finish? I haven't done that with any books this year, so I guess I could have left that off my list. The second question is an autumn book to transition to the end of the year. Y'all, I have two. And you may recall from my Christmas TBR freaking stack of books, 30 books high, which I will link here. I had the book Just Don't Fall, which was literally my only not Christmas book in that stack. So I have Just Don't Fall to read, which is about a hockey player who goes home to his hometown. And I'm a little bit, I don't know. I'm excited to read that book, but I'm a little bit worried about it because y'all know, if you've been around here for any length of time, like I like my male characters rugged, and I get the sense that that book just isn't going to have a whole lot of that to it. And I don't mean rugged like that, like, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but like sex scenes don't have to be spicy for me. Like I don't like spicy sex scenes even really, but so it's not that. I just feel like, I don't know, I get the sense from that book that it's just going to be kind of, my sister used to refer to the Mary Tyler Moore Show as milk toast. Like it was just kind of like, oh, Mr. Grant. Like I feel like Just Don't Fall is going to be like that. It's going to be like the Mary Tyler Moore Show of the books that I read going into the new year. So I have that, which I have it on Kindle, so I'll just stick it up here somewhere. And that's a lot of these that we talk about. I'm not going to have the physical book in front of me, so I'll just stick pictures up here somewhere. I think probably there, wherever it works out. But, and I hope this fire isn't backlighting me too much, but it's cold in here, so hopefully that'll turn off in a minute. Anyway, so we have Just Don't Fall, and then y'all, I am exceptionally excited about a book called, it's something like A Pumpkin in a Patch or A Pumpkin and a Patch, something about a pumpkin and a patch. And I believe that one is about a girl, like a young lady who is maybe an author, and she wrote a story when she was young, like in high school, and it was about a guy in her high school, and she ends up having to deal with him when they're grown-ups, and she's like mortified to actually have to interact with this person. And I think she's a teacher like in her grown-up years, and maybe he's the parent of one of her students. So I'm guessing that we get like hometown tropes and, you know, like that small town thing, and the whole like something you did before comes back at you kind of thing. So excited for that. So those are my fall transitioning into, well, for me, Christmas season, because y'all, you know, I've got a pile of Christmas books this high to read. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out those transitional books, my transitional books, to get me into my Christmas books. So that's my autumn books to transition to the end of the year. And then new releases you're waiting for. Okay. Y'all, I have 3, and they're out. Like they have come out. I just haven't gotten them because I had other stuff going on. Because we had to read our spooky Halloween books, and then those brought us right into this, our transitional period into Christmas. So there was no time for reading other books that just came out. And we talked about this a puppy dog's age ago. There's a second book to The Firm. Remember The Firm by John Grisham? We read that over the summer. Well, we reread it because we read it 100 years ago. The Exchange is out. So book 2 of The Firm books is out. The Exchange, that came out, was it the beginning of November maybe? So that's out. I want to read that. I'm going to read that. We'll read that maybe, I don't know when. Because here, okay, anyway, focus. So we're going to read The Exchange. Y'all remember how much, hang on, let me put my tea down, because that's going to go spilling on the carpet. Y'all remember how much we loved Legends and Lattes? There's a book too. It's called, let me look, Bookshops and Bone Dust. Be Still My Heart. So that's my book number 2. That was going to be my transitional book from like fall into Christmas, but then I was like, we need to read some actual fall-y books. So bone shops, that would be so weird. Can you imagine a bone shop? Bookshops and Bone Dust. And y'all know this one, Ninth House. The next book is out and it's Hellbent. So that one, 100% I will read soon because I cannot not. When you read Ninth House and you get to the end, you'll be like, how did you not? You will know. And so we're going to read that one soon. So those are my new releases that I'm waiting for. I'm not waiting for, I'm just stoked that they're out. I just haven't gotten to read them yet. Oh, book you want to read by the end of the year. Okay, so I'm going to read all those Christmas books, and then y'all, I'm going to need a palate cleanser. Johnny Kavanagh. I did just whack myself, by the way. I'm not even going to try to play it off. Keeping 13. Y'all remember Binding 13? Give me a second. Johnny Kavanagh. Now, I thought it might be my new Benji. He is not my new Benji, but look, you can't compare the new one to the old one, right? Especially, you know, Benji. So I'm going to read, so I'll read my Christmas books. And then there was one book in that stack that was the third book in the Moose Springs, Moose whatever, Alaska series, that I was going to read that after the Christmas books to take us into the new year. I might just get me some Johnny Kavanagh, y'all, because I miss Johnny so much. So, Johnny Kavanagh. Books that I'm going to read by the end of the year. And it might not be by the end of the year, but like transitioning into the new year. Johnny Kavanagh. Love him. And this, okay, back to Just Don't Fall. Johnny, so Benji Ovich from Beartown is my absolute literary fiction love of my life. He's a hockey player. He's rugged. He has just a heart as big as the great outdoors, and he leads with his fists. So he's a lover. He's tough, and he's just broken, and I love him. Johnny isn't quite as Benji as all that, but he's rough and tough, and I love him too. He's not as rough as Benji. Like, he's not rough around the edges like Benji. So to me, Johnny is missing that. And he's not missing it. Like, it's not missing from his character. It's just missing from my heart, kind of. So those are the kind of like literary dudes that I love. So that's why I'm worried that this Just Don't Fall guy is going to be a little like round around the edges, not rough around the edges. And again, not that like it's missing in the character, it's just that like that character doesn't, you know, fit into my missing piece. What am I even saying? I don't know. Anyway, Johnny Kavanagh. Oh, and it's supposed to be 3 books to read by the end of the year? No, just Johnny. Y'all, I cannot follow rules. Is anybody surprised? All right, so the final question on this like book tag list is, have you already started making reading plans for 2024? Let's table that one, do the others, and then come back to it. So let's get into the fall romance book tags. And as I'm saying that, I realize that I've already broken all the rules of this one because I didn't limit myself to just fall themed books. But number 1 is a book that's beautifully written and deals with heavy topics. So I have a bunch of those, but the one I want to talk about, I don't think I talked about much when I read it. And it's, part of the reason is because I can never remember the name. If Only You Knew by Kristen Higgins. So this book, it's kind of it's definitely chick lit. It's not a rom-com, but it is a romance book. And it's about our main character gets her heart broken. And then, so that's just whatever. That's not like the heavy thing that we deal with. But then she ends up supporting her sister who goes through this huge breakup of her marriage. Like finds out just completely out of the blue, like shocking, finds out that her husband's cheating on her. And I think like she finds text messages from her husband to somebody that she thought she could trust or something. And I read this back in like the spring, but First of all, I love Kristen Higgins' writing. It's just very authentic. It sucks you in. The banter is good. The settings are great. And even though it's chick lit, it's not over the top. Like, all of her things are believable. Even though they are these sort of like woven tales, you can 100% see them happening. And so just watching our main character support her sister as her sister's life just crumbles because this trust that she had in another person is completely betrayed, is, first of all, watching that betrayal happen is heartbreaking, but it's not like Kristen Hanna heartbreaking where like you almost can't deal with the heartbreak because you're so heartbroken. Like, you can't deal with the pain that your character is feeling because you're feeling it with them. And y'all, if you've been Kristen Hanna, you know exactly what I mean. And we're going to talk about that. I have one of those books here somewhere, but we're going to talk about that. But with Kristen Higgins, you watch characters experience heartbreak and you can understand it and you like understand their feelings, but you don't like, she doesn't drag you through it with them like freaking Kristen Hanna does. Anyway, so that's my sort of tough topics that are beautifully told, because it's really well told in that book. If Only You Knew. And the reason I don't often talk about it is because I get mixed up If Only You Knew and If You Only Knew. So If Only You Knew by Kristen Higgins. All right. Next tag is a fictional friend group you'd like to be, that you would join if you could. And it's like, the whole tag is like this long. It's like friend group or family or team or blah, blah, whatever. A fictional friend group that you would join if you could. And for me, y'all, that is so easy. It is 100% The Pack from Beartown. Y'all, I told you I was breaking rules. I did not just read Beartown this year, but Beartown, y'all know we are Beartown against the rest. Beartown is my always favorite book. And so Beartown is about this small town and tiny, tiny town in the woods in Sweden that's built up around this hockey team. They are the Beartown Bears. We are the Bears, y'all. And they have a group of supporters called the Pack, and they are a bunch of thugs. But if it's possible to be thugs in a good way, the Pack are thugs in the best possible way, because it is their undying loyalty and devotion to their family, their friends, and their town that causes them to do some questionable things. So, if I could pick one group to which to belong, it would be the Pack. And of course I couldn't belong to the Pack because I'm a girl, but I would date a member of the Pack because y'all, Vidar, come on. If you know, you know. So, we would join the Pack. Can y'all see this dog? He wants to be a member of the Pack too. So that's the fictional friend group I'd like to be a part of, the Pack. Our next tag is a short, heartwarming read. And y'all, that's got to be Legends and Lattes. I love this book so, so much. And so we're not even doing like the set in the fall thing. And Legends and Lattes takes us through like a couple of years, I think. But remember, this is about I always want to call her an ogre. She's not an ogre, she's an orc. An orc named Viv who gets a little long in the tooth, and apparently when you get a little long in the tooth as an orc, you can't keep orcing. So you got to retire and do something else. So she retires and opens a coffee shop in a town where they don't even know what coffee is. So it's a cozy fantasy, and if you read it, go into it with that in mind, that I wouldn't say nothing happens, but really what happens is Viv becomes a normal person. I mean, she's an orc still, obvi, but she makes friends and joins a community, and a bunch of like really heartwarming stuff happens, but she's not out like orking and clubbing and like stealing hearts and like eating arms and stuff anymore. So Legends and Lattes, I did tell y'all that the second book is out and I'm super stoked to read it. So Legends and Lattes is my short, heartwarming read. It's like, I don't know, 200, it's fewer than 300 pages, and it's a quick read. So that. Next is a pile of books with fall colored spines. Now, I should move y'all to the books instead of trying to move the books to y'all, but let's try this. Oh, there we go. And see how we do. I'm trying not to bash the dog in the noggin with the books. But here are my books with fall colored spines. Now I'm going to set them down and go through them, and I'll like show them to you a little at a time. This one, y'all know this one. We just read this one. The It Girl. So a tag that I skipped was a book that something about it might surprise you and become your favorite book of the year. I hadn't really thought about this until I just picked this up. Y'all, I was really surprised at how much I liked this book. This was only like maybe a 3.76-ish on Goodreads, which is silly, which I know is silly to say. I'm kind of a Goodreads snob, but some other books that we read, so we read this in our spooky books for Halloween. Some of those other books were like 4.1, 4.2 something. So this was significantly lower than that, but I really enjoyed it. And it was a bit of a slow burn. And I'm not going to go through and like do this for all these books, but it just occurred to me as I picked this up that I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the development of the characters and the way that Ruth Ware developed, not just the development of the characters, but the way that she did it. Like we would meet somebody, but then we would learn something about them that happened 20 years ago that would help us understand what's going on with them now. It was just very, very clever, very well done. So I'm going to go back to that other tag and say that this is, I don't remember how it was worded, but something about like a surprise favorite book of the year or something. It was this, The It Girl by Ruth Ware. So, oh, you know what? I should have put Johnny Kavanagh in my pile. Anyway, these ones. So I had this whole idea for, I was going to do a reading vlog of like second chances because there are some authors that I feel like I should like that I just don't. Not that I don't like, but whose books I read and I was like, meh. I read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo literally over 20 years ago. I feel like I need to read it. Okay, well, over 15 years ago for sure. I'm not sure it was over 20 years ago. I didn't like it. I feel like I need to read it again because I think people really like it. I didn't like it. So it's in my Give the Author Another Chance, along with What Alice Forgot by Leanne Moriarty. We read that book about the people at the Nine Perfect Strangers or something, where the people meet at the spa, and like I liked the people but didn't like the book. That was, I'm pretty sure that was hers. But so these two are in my read authors that you don't necessarily like, whose books you didn't really like but you want to like the authors pile. That's where those came from. Y'all remember I bought this at the local bookstore, the Priory of the Orange Tree. Look at how, y'all, seriously, this has got to be 1,000 pages. Hang on, let me look. Oh no, it's only 800. It's only 804 pages. So, I have no idea what this is about. Something about a priory and an orange tree, but look how like folly that spine is. We will read this. This might be one that we read some pages and then like, read 300 or 400 pages and then take a break and then read some more of it. Legends and Lattes, we love her. We'll talk about this one last. Oh, so remember that time we bought that book because we thought it was beautiful and we were excited to read it because it was the first book in a series. And then when we got it home, we realized that it was actually book number 13. Yeah, I remember that too. Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is seriously like 13th in the, so it's the first one in this series, but they start with City of Bones. I know we did this when I got this book because I was so upset by it, but y'all, I know, look at this. Lovely, absolutely beautiful. Have to read 13 books to get there, maybe 12. I think this is number 13, or it might be 15, so we have to read 14. It's something like that. There are at least 12 books before this one. So yeah, remember that time we were all excited? Fall looking binding. The first time Y'all remember the first time you got Kristen Hannah by a book? This was my first Kristen Hannah, and y'all. So The Great Alone, I think I read this back in like January. And I vividly remember laying in the bed reading, and I was like, oh, I'm going to read for a few minutes and fall asleep. And the intern was in his office playing video games. So, you know, he has the like over ear, like the can headphones, the noise canceling headphones, and the whole thing. So he's in there killing guys or doing whatever they're doing. I'm in the bed reading and can't stop, like, keep reading, keep reading, keep reading. Well, y'all have heard me talk about this. I'm not going to go into it, but Kristen Hannah does this thing where something sad happens, and you get through the sadness, and you're like, oh, it's all good. I made it through the sad part. I'm home free. And then you get to a part in the book that is so sad that it changes your understanding of the universe. Like, it is so sad. So I get to that, and like I'm reading, like, this can't be what's happening. Like, this has to be a dream. This cannot be this can't be my life. This cannot be the real. I know it's a book, y'all, but I was like devastated. So I was, sorry, I just yelled. So I was so upset. I was like, I can't. I got to do something. So I got up and just was like walking around. The intern jumps up. He's like, what? You went to bed 2 hours ago. What are you doing? I was like, sorry, I had to walk it off. The Great Alone. So yeah. But look how folly the spine is. So I might actually have some PTSD from this book. So that's that. I should have done that last, but now we have we got to double back. We have to circle back to that other book tag and talk about our plans, if we have reading plans for 2024. And you know we do. So I have my transitional book. Where did Johnny go? I just want to keep touching Johnny Kavanagh, y'all. I can't help myself. So I have Johnny Kavanagh. I'm going to read him the end of the year. I'm going to be traveling, but I should be home like the end of December going into January. So I will read some Johnny Kavanagh. And then here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to try a new genre. And I'm going to give y'all a second to roll your eyes back in your head. I know y'all are judging me. Go on ahead and judge me. I don't know why. I don't know what got into me. I don't know. But I've decided I'm going to try some steampunk. Is that what this is? Look at how cool this book looks. I can't even with myself. Soulless. I feel like I knew what it was when I bought it. I don't anymore. It's the first book in the Parasol Protectorate. Y'all look at that. It's an octopus. Seriously, how can you not? I don't know. It might be awful. Somebody in the comments, please tell me that these are good or that something steampunk is good. Make me feel better about this decision. But I mean, it's only like 400 pages, so whatever. How badly can things go for 400 pages? Peace like a river, anyone? So I think she has no soul. And something about she's a spinster or something. I don't really know. But she has a parasol. And it's steampunk, so, again, I really don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. It's period. I don't know. I know nothing about it, except look how cute it is. So we're going to read that. I've had this for a little minute. Y'all remember we got this in Minneapolis. I want to read this. Again, I'm afraid, look at the cover. It looks very cute. I'm worried that he's going to be a little bit too soft around the edges for me, but we'll see. It might just be fun. And it's a rom-com, right? So I have to realize it's not going to be very bingy, Johnny Kavanagh. So I want to read this. And y'all, we're going to get into some Anna Huang. These are romance. And again, I feel like I knew something about them when I decided we were going to read them. And then they're the Twisted books. This is book 1. You can... Everything I know about it, I learned from the cover. So, yeah, those are my plans for the beginning of the year. I'm definitely going to start with this. And you know what? Maybe steampunk is our new thing. We'll see how it goes. But I think that's it for our book tag. Let me look. Give me a second. Let me look. All right, that is in fact it for our end of year book tag, y'all. or I guess end of year and fall book tag. Like I said, I will link those in the description, the actual book tags, not my hybrid book tag. But y'all, let me know what you're reading. I'm going to read those fall books and then get into some Christmas books. But if there's something else out there that I need to be reading instead of what I'm reading, y'all know I'm open to suggestions, so let me know in the comments. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you made it this far, we're most definitely friends. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. I upload food and fitness videos at the beginning of every week, with some book videos sprinkled in between. See you on the next one.